and welcome to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Every Sunday I post a really long crime special, and obviously crime doesn't pay on the whole, and moreover it's usually pretty dark, certainly the ones that I cover. It can also be really stupid, and there is nothing more I like than poking fun at criminals who think they're clever but are really very, very daft. So let's look at a couple of these. Let's just lighten the mood of crime. So Andrew Hennells. Yeah? You know how he got caught? He got caught because when he was planning on the robbery he was about to carry on, he thought it was probably good to share that on social media. This guy literally posted on Facebook about his plans to raid a supermarket in a post including a selfie, because you want to make sure that everybody definitely knows that when they put out the e-fit, your face will come up. He put a picture of a knife and the words, "Doing Tesco over." Police caught him 15 minutes later with the knife, 410 quid in his pocket, stolen from Tesco in Kings Lynn in Norfolk. And for that, he got 4 years. Not gonna lie, I think he probably needs a bit longer, because if you are literally going to put on social media your face, the knife you're gonna use, and then advertise the fact you're about to carry out the crime, it's not going to take Sherlock Holmes to find you. Obviously for the victims that would have been awful, but I bet they sat there and thought, I'm really glad that he was such an idiot. Now, is it possible to be any more stupid when committing a crime than the one I've just discussed? Well, I think we can have a go. Lukas Czerniawski, I hope I pronounced that right. I probably haven't, but it's the best I can do. He was somebody who basically decided that he would go into a retired couple from Lancashire's home. They were on holiday. Didn't know that they were coming back that day though, did he? So whilst he was there, he just fell asleep in their bed. That's right. Martin Holtby and Pat Dyson didn't get the usual welcome home when they got back from their holiday. No, they found that this particular burglar had done their dishes, washed his underwear, and even been shopping for groceries. I'm imagining that he wasn't planning on leaving the milk and bread for them. Ms. Dyson said that their house wasn't too tidy when they went away, but when they got home, apparently he'd tidied up really well. He'd burnt one old saucepan, but apart from that, which it happens to the best of us, the burglar was probably the first that had ever occurred where they brought food to the house and made it look nicer. He was given a 2-year conditional discharge and he had to pay them £200 costs. I would have loved to have been on the jury, because I don't know how I'd have felt about him getting anything. After all, it did seem that he did a very good job, but for the opposite reasons that you'd expect where crimes are concerned. A man who was suspected of arson and vandalism sent a selfie to police in Ohio in the US because he found that the photo that had been taken of him and that was put out for his arrest, he didn't like. I mean, we all struggle with a selfie, don't we? We all want to get that perfect angle, and apparently this particular criminal felt that the one that had been put out about him was not flattering enough. So obviously, wanting to correct that error, he just sent an actually flattering picture and one that looked much more like him to the police. He literally sent his own picture of the face that he actually felt looked more like his face to the police so that they could then put it out so that he could get caught, because he thought it was worse to have an unflattering photo of himself out there than to spend time in prison. Unsurprisingly, they found him. What's even more beautiful is what he wrote to them. He said, "Here is a better photo. That one is terrible." He told a local radio station, "They just did me wrong. They put out a picture that made me," quote, "look like a thundercat or James Brown on the run." I have to say, I don't think there's anything wrong with being considered James Brown on the run. I think he was a pretty amazing character. But the police department got back and said, "We do thank him for being very helpful, but we now want him to come and speak to us." So he did get arrested. But can you imagine the kind of thing going on for you? That at this moment in time, the one thing you're worried about is the fact that the guy in the picture doesn't look as good as the guy that you are. You're that vain that it's worth going to prison for. The criminal mind. You wouldn't want him planning the robbery for you though, would you? Probably the pièce de résistance for me is a guy who was wanted called Mohammed Ashan. Basically, officials were really baffled when an Afghan Taliban commander gave himself up. So he gave himself up, but then asked whether he could have the reward. Basically, he was a mid to low Taliban commander, so obviously somebody who was considered a terrorist, and he just walked into a police checkpoint in 2012, looked at the poster, pointed to it and said, "Notice the similarity? Look, it's me. And there's clearly a $100 finder's fee." I imagine that would have been awkward for all of them in that moment in time. But what I actually love is the US official who talked about the case said this: "Clearly, this man is an imbecile." I'm not saying he was, I'm saying that that's what was said about him. Anyway, it's hard to make crime fun, but I think I've managed it. Check in next time for one of my shorts. See you soon, and don't forget, Sunday.